In this video, I'm going to talk about why I need a production assistant for my projects and why you might as well. Here's the story. Over my years, I've basically been a solo shooter. That doesn't mean that I don't work with teams, but most of the time when I'm filming video projects, it's just me going to a site, meeting up with a client, and then filming whatever needs to be filmed, and then coming back to the studio to then edit it. If I'm working in a team, I might also be bringing footage back to hand off to an editor, but a lot of the time these days, the majority of the projects that I'm working on, it's me shooting, then editing, then delivering. And that's a typical pattern that I've had over my years as a video content creator. Now, this past week, I had a video shoot where it was basically just talking to camera, someone reading lines from a teleprompter and delivering lines to the camera that I can then take away later and edit together to do some social media videos. Now, this sounds like a very simple, straightforward video shoot, and it is. But for some reason, I thought, you know what? I might need a production assistant, because when you have a production assistant, you've got an extra pair of hands and you've got someone else that can help make the process just a little bit smoother. And boy, did I really need them by the end of this shoot. And I'll tell you why. When I arrived to the site, there was no off-street parking or any car parks really for me to park and then offload all my gear into the location. So I parked my car in a free car park that was close to the location, but still a little bit of a walk, and then met up with my production assistant on site and then tried to find out where we were going to be filming at the location. At the location, we were going to be filming in a boardroom upstairs, so the cart that I had brought to be able to roll all my gear into the location isn't going to be too helpful once I get to those stairs. In hindsight, I probably could have used that cart, but I didn't in the end because I thought, oh no, stairs, it's just going to create more work. But if I did use the cart, I probably could have used it going from the car to the location, and that might have made things just a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. But these are the things you think about in hindsight. So we found that we're going to be filming upstairs, so that's another problem. And now we need to get all our gear into the location and then set up. My production assistant and I then went to my car and then found an actual car park that I could park in for the duration of the shoot. Because it was a half-day shoot, I couldn't leave my car just in the 1 hour car park, and I also wanted to be a little bit closer to the location as well. And luckily, there was a paid car park just 100 meters down the road that we could park in and then start offloading our equipment. And after 2 trips, we were able to bring all the equipment that we needed into the boardroom and then start setting up. If I didn't have my production assistant, that would have been 4 trips by myself, and that would have been a terrible way to start off this shoot. I would have been tired, I would have been a little bit grumpy as well because I had to do so many trips by myself, and just having that production assistant there, that extra pair of hands, really made this a lot easier. Now, I like to leave about an hour to set up for a shoot like this. This allows me to set the camera up, set the lights up, set the audio up, and then tackle any problems that might arise. We'd just finished setting up, and then the client then came in and said, hi, our first talent is here and they have a walker and they're not able to walk upstairs. So we need to go downstairs and film them there. This was not what I wanted to hear at this time, right after I'd spent nearly half an hour or so setting up all the equipment. But because I had a production assistant, we were able to grab most of the gear that we were using upstairs in the boardroom and then take it downstairs and find an appropriate place so we could record with the first talent that had arrived. I ended up not bringing the big light dome light, and we ended up using just a smaller light to be able to light the talent and still get a good result. Then after we filmed with the talent downstairs, we went right back upstairs and then set everything back up and then did the rest of the shoot there. If I didn't have that production assistant, when the client came to me and said, can we go and film downstairs? I would have been like a deer in headlights. I would have been thinking, no, we can't. I've just spent half an hour setting up here and now I have to pack everything up and then go downstairs and set up there and then back up. It would have been a disaster. But because I had that extra pair of hands, we were able to say yes. And when you've got clients asking you questions on site as well, and you're able to say yes instead of no, that is always a much better outcome than saying, no, sorry, we can't do that. So having a production assistant really did help out here. And then for the rest of the shoot, I had an extra person to be able to be a bit of a buffer between myself, the talent, and the client. So if I'm taking care of setting up the camera, changing settings, making sure everything's running properly, and the client wants to ask a question or the talent wants to make conversation or something like that, I've got the production assistant there as well who can do that. They can talk to the talent, they can talk to the client, and just make sure that everyone's feeling comfortable and that the production can keep going on smoothly. So that's another benefit of having a production assistant, if the production assistant is capable of doing that. I do realize some production assistants might not really be able to do that. It's not really part of their skill set. They might really rather not talk to clients or talk to talent. They'd rather just be behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. But if you find a production assistant, or if you can get a production assistant that can do that, that is definitely a positive. And my production assistant was also able to take some behind the scene photos and video, so I can use it for my YouTube videos like this, and also for my social media as well. Having these extra photos for social media is really helpful to show potential clients what the process is like behind the scenes on one of my video shoots. So initially when I was hiring a production assistant, I was thinking, oh, that'd just be an extra pair of hands to bring in some camera gear and take some behind the scene photos and videos. But in the end, they were so much more. They actually saved the shoot and made it a lot more enjoyable and also a lot smoother running as well. And then at the end, they were able to help me pack up the gear, take it back to the car, and what could have been a nightmare shoot turned into a quite enjoyable shoot as well. So that's one of the key reasons as to why I would get a production assistant. Just because you think you can do it by yourself doesn't mean unseen problems can't pop up. And a lot of the time it's not just one problem, it's multiple problems. And having that extra person there can really help save a shoot and take it from a disaster to a success. So that's a recent story that I've had recently, being a predominantly solo shooter. Reaching out, having a production assistant, and then having them end up save the day. How about you? Are you a solo video shooter, and do you have any nightmare stories that could have been avoided if you had a production assistant? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this content, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for more videos on video creation and the Sony FX6 in the future.